Hi everyone. Sorry I haven't made a video in a while. I've just been burnt out. So, today we're going to be talking about one of the Game of the Year contenders, 1000%, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I recorded my whole playthrough of the game and I did intend on just editing down that content and then just making like one long video, but I realized that I didn't have anything much to say about myself playing the game. You know, I waltzed through a children's game quite easily, and I didn't have much to comment on. I have more structural issues with the game, more so than commentary. I am a Pokemon Platinum stan. I started playing in Gen 4. Those were the first Pokemon games I ever owned, besides like the spin-off games, like I have Pokemon Stadium and stuff like that. Doesn't count. Those are the first mainline series games that I played. Were a bootleg copy of Pearl that glitched after you hunt the one terrorist guy who's trying to blow up the Safari Zone. It would just like stop after that. I'll show like a picture I found of that bootleg right here. LOL. Okay, this is editor me. I didn't realize I still had the box. This is her. It looks normal, but if you were looking at it in person, you can tell that this is just a printed image. I don't know why I still have the box. I got rid of the game. I don't even know what this is for. But then this part just looks like it's for a guide, or like this was like a magazine article or something like that. This part really got me. Read our meaty walkthrough, which brings you from the beginning of the game to the very end. I really thought I had a real copy of this game when I was like 8, 9. Anyways, okay, yeah, that's fake. But then the obvious tell is the back. It's just the Manaphy and the Bulbasaur that get me. Anyways, that's a trip down memory lane. I have no idea why I kept this. How iconic. So, after my inauthentic copy, I had Platinum, and I think Platinum is a phenomenal game. While I do like that they brought back Gen 4, I do think because the remake was so faithful, it carried over all of the same problems that it had originally. And they fixed a lot of these problems in Platinum, so I prefer to play that one. But because I'm so familiar with Platinum, it kind of messed me up for this game because I didn't realize they changed so much. I've played Platinum multiple times. I've played Diamond and Pearl in their complete forms. I've only beat them once, and I beat Pearl, and that's it. I have no other experience with them. So, in order to make this a pretty easy viewing experience, I have organized my thoughts Jenny Nicholson style in a numbered list. So number 1, the story. So yeah, the story isn't really anything special. In Pokemon tradition, you play as a 10-year-old who wants to be a Pokemon trainer. You have a rival. A professor entrusts you with a Pokedex. Your mom is just like, go. I will see you never again. And then you have to explore the region. You catch some Pokemon. You overcome the Pokemon League while an evil team is trying to mess things up. Their antics in the game in this one include, but are not limited to, a threatened terrorist attack that I've already brought up, and then following through on that terrorist attack, and then wanting to end the world. We've seen it before. Number 2, the starters. I love the starters in this region, and none of them are flops. They're all useful. I think Turtwig offers the least amount of advantage, and Chimchar is probably like the best. But they're all pretty good. They're all solid Pokemon. And they're not like Meganium, who just get like bodied in their region and can't really do much. For this playthrough, in honor of the first game that I beat all the way through, I did choose Piplup. I named it Pingu, after the Swiss cartoon. I don't know if you guys know it. Take a look sometime. It's very memey. The rest of my team, comprised of a Luxray. Who cares? Luxray's not good. But there's no electric types in this region. We'll circle back. I had a Machamp that I named Wanho. I originally named it Twittergay just to see if the game would let me, and it did. And then I was like, I can't live with this name. This is too much. I have to change it. I had a Togekiss, which that was fucking annoying to get. I had a Skuntank, and then I had a Garchomp, which I nicknamed Cynthia. This Pokemon was also annoying to get for similar reasons as to the Togepi. Number 3, the characters. I think our rival character, Barry, is okay. serviceable. In most depictions, mostly his anime appearances and Pokemon Masters, he has an Empoleon. So I don't associate Turtwig with him. And the rival battle on 218 was one of literally 2 fights that I actually struggled with in this game. He just kept using Withdraw over and over. And I wasn't thinking about what the fight would be like because at the time I only had my Piplup and my Shanks. We beat it. I beat it first try. It just took a really long time. I also want to talk about Dawn/Lucas. For this playthrough, I did choose the boy. I'll be using Dawn to refer to the professor's assistant. I like Dawn. I think she's interesting. She does more, I think, than Barry. She contributes more to the story overall and like the world. Because Barry's just like running around, trying to have a good time. But Dawn is like actually doing something, but she gets no time in the story. You have, what, like 2, maybe 1 double battle with her where she fights on your side. But otherwise, she doesn't have much to do. I do like that they gave her a post-game battle and that her and Lucas have unique teams depending on which protagonist you pick at the beginning. I thought that was really cool because at least she gets something and her teams are interesting. I wish we got to see more of her throughout the game. I think if they were doing like a rebuild of what this game could be as opposed to just a remake, like sort of how they did with Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, how they really built on the game. This game was really faithful, and I think that was to its detriment. I just would have liked to have fought her throughout the story when we do see her. So like after the 2nd gym. Before the 3rd gym, that might be a little too soon. I guess you have Hearthome. But it would have been interesting just to see her sprinkled throughout, just so we get some encounters with her and then we get a different rival. I think it would just spice things up from the original experience. Professor Rowan, literally who cares? Being an interesting professor skips a generation. So if you're an even number gen, professor, probably not that interesting. If you're odd number, it's where it's at. I don't know why. Also, I would like to flag here, because as I was researching for this video, I've noticed that they didn't do official artwork for anybody. It's all just renderings from the game, so they all look like Play-Doh, which I think looks not great. That's all. And the last character I want to talk about is our mother. This game, revolutionizing. Gatekeep, Gaslight, Girl Boss. Enter Joanna. This is the first Pokemon game in which our mom is depicted as having any rich in her life because she was a famous contest coordinator. So she's like big in the Pokemon world. She actually had a job. She doesn't have a bedroom. Those don't come in until I think like Gen 7 that, you know, your character has a real house, but at least she had a job. You can't have it all. Part 4, the features. I'd like to start off with the Poketch. I'm realizing that this is like the original smartwatch. Like it's an Apple Watch, but the Apple Watch came out in like 2015 and they came up with this in 2006. I just think that's really special. This really worked on the DS because you had 2 screens, right? So it just made effective use of what that system was and what it represented. But yeah, do I think it works on the Switch? Sure. Do I have a better idea for what I would have done to integrate it? Not really. Maybe like a Pokemon and Me style where you actually could have like seen your Pokemon, or like Pokemon Camp. But then it also makes it easier because you can just access it so quickly just by hitting R. But I just don't like the UI and just the fact that it just like chills in the top right corner and doesn't really look... I don't think it looks good, but I don't know what I would improve. Does that make sense? Also, I didn't use it. I only used it to have the TM screen open just so I could quickly be like, boom, boom. And then following up on that, I don't know how people feel about the removal of HMs in Pokemon altogether. I love it. Because then your teams can be much better. Because you don't have to play around that. It's just, I think it was a tedious feature. So I'm glad they got rid of it. Because now you have like more freedom. It's more enjoyable what you can do with your little Mons. I love it. Okay, this is random and really specific, but I don't really have a better place to bring it up. But I don't love the button mapping in this game. I think it's kind of trash. I hate that Y doesn't really do much unless you're in specific scenarios. Like it's great that it pulls up a menu, but I feel like that could have been plus, and then Y could have been mapped to your key items, especially because you don't use Y that often. I wanted to use my bike all the time, and sometimes I wanted to fish. So accessing my key items would have just been like way faster if it was assigned to Y, but since it was plus, it was confusing, especially because in previous Pokemon games, it's always been Y. It's always been Y. I don't know why they changed it. I also don't love that the Poketch was mapped to R. That has to do with the fact that in Let's Go and Pokemon Sword and Shield, you could fully just play the game with a single Joy-Con, which I don't know, for me, really convenient. Because I could just, if I was bored, I could be like playing the game in one hand and then like on my phone in the other. Or you could just be like doing something else, just in general. A great feature, Pokemon can walk with you. I know some people think this is overrated. I know some people think that this is the be-all, end-all of the franchise. I love that they can walk with you. And I love that sometimes they can't keep up. And I love that the region isn't built for them to walk with you, so it's clunky. I had my Togepi out the whole time, so it was just cute to see it go from like a little egg that can't get anywhere to something that flies. And then by the time it evolves into a Togekiss, it's just like go wing. It is so fast. And it was nice to like switch around my Pokemon so I could see everyone on my team every once in a while. Just thought it was cute. Pokemon contests. They changed Pokemon contests, which in hindsight didn't bother me at first, but then I was like, oh, if they wanted to change the entire way Pokemon contests work, why could this one part not be a faithful recreation, but everything else had to be? I think if we're gonna change a not beloved feature of the game, maybe we could have changed other pieces, i.e. available Pokemon. And also gyms and gym leaders and Pokemon and Elite Four. If they were gonna change a huge secondary feature of this game, they could have changed other things that weren't in the post-game. That's all I have to say. The Grand Underground, as opposed to just the normal Underground that we got in Gen 4 originally, that was a game changer. We will get to it later as to why the Grand Underground was so important for this game. Being able to mine is really fun. Being in this mountain region, lovely. Especially because you can get so many items. Like, I know a lot of them are rare, but you're actually incentivized to do it. And I also love Pokemon hideaways. They're incredible, and it's phenomenal that you can collect all 493 Pokemon between these two games natively, except for Arceus. I don't know. I think they'll do an event and he'll be available when the game that they're trying to shill at the end of the month comes out. I'm so excited to buy it. I will be streaming it on Twitch. I have a Twitch now. It's the same as my YouTube handle if you want to go follow me there. I could use the support. Next feature, the experience share. Major pros, major cons. Pros, it makes the gameplay experience smoother, faster, you run through it. I know some people are like, it makes it too easy, but I'm like, honestly, I don't care if my kids' game experience is easy. I'm sorry to everyone who struggled in the 90s with your little Game Boys, but technology has come further. So are we surprised that they made quality of life improvements to make the gameplay experience more seamless? I'm not. What I don't appreciate is the fact that this game wasn't built or designed around having an EXP share. So like, for example, Sun and Moon, it made sense and you didn't gain experience too quickly, but they also were able to design the region keeping in mind the rate at which you'd be getting experience. But for this game, it wasn't built to have it. So you run into a huge problem when you pass Hearthome City, Hearthome, I don't know. I say Hearthome. You run into a big problem when you pass there because then you just have a bunch of route to go through. And not much happens there except for trainer battles. So unless you're skipping them, you are just getting too much experience. You get bloated. This is the point of, like, this is why I couldn't make the content I wanted for this game. Was because it was so easy, was because my Pokemon were consistently like 5 levels over everything else I experienced after the second gym, which made everything up to the Elite Four a cakewalk. So I just find the inclusion of that feature, while it made sense to be like, this is where our franchise is going, we should pop it in there. I do think its inclusion was flawed because the rest of the game didn't match the fact that you'd be gaining experience so quickly. Last detail. I love that when you're in handheld mode, you can shine your badges, as you could in the original game. Number 5, the region. I think Sinnoh was a great answer to the regions that came before it. It's nice after Kanto and Johto, which were very like plains, forest. Like, yeah, they had mountains, they had cave zones, but we didn't really get much outside of those. I think it's nice that this region has snow and has a lot of it. Another reason I like Platinum is that I feel as a Canadian who just survived a polar vortex, I do feel represented by the cold. So yeah, do I appreciate the Platinum aesthetic a little bit more because there's more snow and there's snow on the trees and snow on the ground, etc., etc.? I do. I think this game, if Hoenn had too much water, this game didn't have enough snow. I think they could have found a balance, and there should have been more. I love the music in this game. No complex thoughts. It's just excellent. You should listen to it. If you're going on a walk, if you're studying, you can find hour-long playlists on YouTube. Just hit up one of those. The music is amazing. Number 6, we're going to talk about the gyms and the gym leaders. In general, I think the Sinnoh gym leaders are serviceable, if not particularly unremarkable. That's all. I don't have much to say because I think that they fulfill the role adequately. They are not above and beyond. I don't think they do anything more. And I don't think this game gives them a lot of opportunity to have personalities either. So Rourke is fine. We've seen the early game rock type gym leader before. He's pretty easy regardless of which starter you pick. So you're chilling. The only character moment outside of his gym that we really see is him in the cave, or him in the mining facility, and then him in the underground. So we get, objectively, we get more face time with Rourke than we do with almost every single other gym leader in this game. So good for him. Gardenia is hard because she has a Rose Raid. She has a good Pokemon. She offers some challenge. Gardenia is probably my number 1 on this list. Maybe not. She's up there. If you want me to do a tier list, let me know. I tried grinding up a Zubat to beat her without realizing that Zubat doesn't learn any flying type moves. So even though it's a really good check to her, it's a really good answer to a lot of her Pokemon, couldn't use it. I did find out later that you can get the Pluck TM from Floroma Town, and you can teach that to the Zubat. And if you hit Golbat by that time, it eviscerates her. I didn't know that. But if any of you want to use that tip moving forward, I'm just putting it here. Every other gym leader after this point, we body very easily. Maylene, what was even the point? Eviscerated. I feel if we weren't over-leveled, her Lucario would have posed more of a challenge, but we were 5 levels higher than her, so of course, beat her easily. Crasher Wake. I think Wake is pretty good. I enjoy that Wake has Pokemon where you do need to use either water-type weakness. You can't just rely on having one. Still an easy fight, though. Fantina. I think it's dumb that she doesn't have a Drifblim because she's wearing literally a Drifblim dress. Otherwise, I don't have much else. I think she's camp. She's drag. Amazing. Gay icon. I also guess this is a good time to mention that they changed 2 of the gyms between Platinum and Diamond and Pearl. So I was really looking forward, because I didn't really spoil myself for this game, so I didn't know what things really looked like. I was really looking forward to seeing the Platinum gyms redone, and they didn't do that, because the Eternicity gym in Platinum is so much cooler than the one in Diamond and Pearl. I love the clock. And then, yeah, I think the Heart Home City gym is also a little bit more interesting with the light puzzle, and you actually have to fight other trainers. I know that's not really an issue in this game because we were already way stronger, but you can just go straight to her, which I guess in some ways it's very convenient. But I don't know, I think it's a slightly less interesting design for the ghost type gym to be a quiz game, because I also don't think that fits well with her personality. Byron, literally, who is that? I think every time I've played this gym, he's always the easiest in the run. It's just so easy to prepare for. I don't think anybody ever has had a problem with Byron ever in their life. So I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna talk about them in the same bullet point because they both have the same problem. Candace and Volkner both suffer from the same issue because there aren't enough ice or electric types in this region for them to fill out their whole teams. And they don't benefit from having the Pokemon that they do have. The Elite Four, some of them don't all have exactly 100% their type specialty of Pokemon, but they do benefit from having those Pokemon because they strengthen their team. Having a Medicham, having an Ambipom, it just doesn't do them any favors. And it's also rough that they don't have their aces because the Frostlass and Electivire are really powerful. Electivire has insanely high attack, and the Frostlass can dodge because she has Snow Cloak. I think that's the ability. So she has really high evasion. So that makes them way more challenging, but they're not here, so who cares? Abomasnow and Luxray can eat my ass. They get bodied. It doesn't matter. Also, I guess I'll throw this in here because there's no other good place to put it. I love the Jasmine cameo appearance. Next, we're going to move on to Team Galactic. I didn't realize I would have so much to say about them, but I guess when something is bad, it evokes a bigger response. Recapping the events. Long story short, Team Galactic, they're the region's baddies, famous for their stupid little bowl cuts, their spacesuits, and wanting to restart the universe from scratch. That's their whole deal. They basically do a whole lot of nothing this whole game. It's kind of unclear as to why they do what they're doing. Like, I guess it sort of makes sense that Mars, like, kidnaps a researcher, but I don't know why Jupiter's like, I need to hold this bike shop owner hostage. He's getting in the way. Like, it just didn't make much sense. They also randomly only blow up one lake. I'm sure there's like a fake reason for it somewhere, but regardless, it is still stupid. Because why do they blow up one, but the other two, they're like, we're going to leave those ones crystal clear, clean. We're not going to do it. They selectively bomb these lakes to capture the lake guardians so that they can synthesize the red chain, which for some reason will help them capture either time god Dialga or space god Palkia. It'll help them capture and control them so that they can remake the world in their own image. It's Thanos, they're doing a Thanos, but instead of just like slicing things in half, they're like, we want carte blanche. We're gonna restart. Spear Pillar is the most visually interesting part of this whole game. Because it's the only time where they chose to embellish the visuals. Like, props to them, they found a moment to actually do something creative and interesting. I wish they had done that in more parts and really took advantage of the 3D. I just thought that this was really successful, and it highlights how much everything else was a missed opportunity. The grunts are boring in this game. Again, I'm used to Platinum, so I was kind of shocked at how many of these evil team members just have Beautiflies. I don't think it fits the brand for them to have this like beautiful bug type and then mostly only poison types. They only have 7 throughout the whole game. Dustox, Golbat, Stunky, Glameow, Bronzong, Krogunk, and then Beautifly. So it's like you have all these cunning poison types and then Gorgina George. It doesn't work. They changed this in Platinum. They removed most of the blood. They removed most of the bug types and they replaced them with like Houndoom or Houndour and Murkrow, which makes more sense. Also, it's like more reflective of the leader. And also these Pokemon are more spooky. They're more threatening. Moving on to the admins. I think the inclusion of admins is really cool in Pokemon, that they give like a sub-boss kind of vibe. And also their placement in this game make them like sub-bosses between gym leaders. And they also have like unique character designs. I think that was a great inclusion. I think, you know, the admins in this game really paved the way for future ones. But I think they're constantly underutilized. They remind me of like the villain teams in Sailor Moon, but they all have like a specific power, a specific threat that they pose, and a specific thing that they can do. And they also have unique personalities that we get to know over time. But we don't get to know Mars, Jupiter, or Saturn. They're all basically just like, we agree. And that's all they have to offer. There's not much more. Mars and Jupiter are also more memorable overall because they have really difficult fights in the early game because Mars has her Purugly and Jupiter has her Skuntank, which, like, game-breaking. You can't get those Pokemon that early, so that's why it poses that challenge. And they also have moves with a really high crit chance, so they can kind of just body your team because they're way stronger, and then they can also land absurdly strong hits. So, you know, you remember them. And then they also have the double battle at Spear Pillar, which the fight itself isn't that great, but it's at the climax, so you remember it as being a part of, you know, that story beat. Saturn, though, we only fight him twice. He's a terrorist, and we don't get to know him, and it's even worse. And you also don't meet him until after the 6th gym, which, as opposed to Mars and Jupiter, you meet Mars literally after the 1st, and then you meet Jupiter right after the 2nd. So we see them in the very early game. But yeah, Saturn, we don't see him until later, and he's not even at Spear Pillar. So yeah, he just has less involvement, and he doesn't have an ace the way that the other two do. Last, we're going to talk about Cyrus. So for me, Cyrus didn't really read as old, ever. But in this game, and I guess in like more recent depictions just in general, they're really leaning into aging him up. Like, he looks like the oldest evil team leader. Like, Giovanni doesn't look particularly old. He's kind of hot. Like, Lysander maybe is a little old. But most of these other team leaders seem kind of young. Maybe like Maxie. I don't know. But Cyrus, in my mind, and based on like early depictions of him, I was like, oh, he's probably, like, I don't think he's older than 35. But now they're really like, he's 50. Also, he has no motivation to be evil. He has no want or reason to become God. So that his motivation is just hollow. If you're going to design someone to like look emaciated or look maybe a little unhealthy or look like maybe a little old, Maybe you could have gone for like a more hard-hitting storyline. Maybe he could have, really feared his mortality. Maybe he wanted to like cure an illness. Give me something. Because in this depiction, he doesn't want anything. He just wants to do it just because. And all it would have taken is just one reason for why he wants that outcome. So I think that just could have been better in the sense that they literally could have just thought about one thing that he could be doing, and they chose not to do that. Also, his teams aren't good. They're way better in Platinum. Like the first time you fight him, he has three level 40 Pokemon that aren't fully evolved. And then the second time you fight him, he only gets like one more. But like, again, we're 5 levels stronger than him because we've been that way throughout the whole game. So it was easy. Like, give him a couple more Pokemon, make the effort, do something. Something. Literally could have been anything. Okay, number 8, the Elite Four. They were really hard. I was so shocked. I went in really underprepared because, the rest of the game has been insanely easy. We've been so over-leveled. But by the time you make it to the Elite Four, you're probably not mentally preparing for what those fights are going to look like because you've been primed the whole game that this is easy. You are going to be stronger, so you will beat them. So I didn't even look up like what they had or what levels they were. I just like went through because I was like, we got this. And also my team was good. I had excellent coverage. These fights, no walk in Amity Square, I'll tell you that much. So we start off with Bug Trainer Aaron. He's never been that memorable, but in this game, they really buff his Drapion, which just makes it easier for that Pokemon to land critical hits on you. It's built to have a better shot at landing critical hits on you and like ruining your team. So his Drapion was really scary. The rest of his team, not so much. We made it through this fight without too many issues. Bertha, her Pokemon themselves weren't that challenging in what they could do to me, but they're really defensive, so they just don't go down that easily. So this fight took a little long, but it wasn't that hard. This fight ruined me. The fight against Flint, impossible. Like the Lopunny, the Rapidash, the Steelix, manageable, easy. But the Drifblim, the Infernape, I don't want to relive that. His Drifblim can just ruin you in so many ways, especially if your Pokemon is a physical attacker, because it can burn you with Will-O-Wisp. And there was a new move introduced in Gen 7 that I didn't fucking know about called Strength Zap, which lets the Drifblim just like tank your attack, and it also regains a ton of health. Only 6 Pokemon in the whole franchise learn it, so I was confused. I didn't know what was happening. I've never seen this move before, ever. Then Drifblim also has Minimize, so it can increase its evasion. It has no attacking moves, so it can't like do much to you except burn you and ruin your life. But it can use Baton Pass and pass its evasion boosts to Infernape, which is really strong and really fast and has a priority move in Mach Punch. It was so impossible. It was so hard. It was so hard because you can't hit his strongest Pokemon. It can evade everything. And it has a focus sash, so you can't just kill it in one shot. It'll live. This fight gave me so much trouble because I basically had to stall out both of these Pokemon and play the long game. I'm surprised I got through it on the first try, but items were the champion of this fight. It wasn't even me. Lucian is banal compared to Flint. I don't really even remember the fight. I know he used screens and Trick Room to make it more frustrating, but in the end, it was easy. Cynthia. Cynthia ruined my fucking life. Her team is so strong, but the Garchomp is what made this fight literally impossible. This is the most memorable part of the game for me because it was really challenging and really good. My team was ill-equipped to handle hers, which is unfortunate because I thought I had not 1, but 2 checks to make sure I'd be able to handle specifically her Garchomp, but I did not because, again, I didn't prepare because the rest of the game has been so easy. So my Empoleon knew Avalanche. I know Ice Beam seems better at face value, but my Empoleon had like a minus special attack nature, so its physical and special stats were the same. And I correctly assumed that the Garchomp would outspeed me, and Avalanche is like revenge in the sense that it does extra damage if you've already taken a hit. So I was like, work. This'll be amazing. And then my failsafe was Togekiss, which is immune to Dragon. So I was like, of course I'm gonna body this Garchomp. I didn't. Also, I had my own Garchomp, but it was too underleveled. I was like, I can hit this Pokemon. I wasn't thinking about how it could ruin me, because it could. This Garchomp obviously had Earthquake, and I don't know why I thought my Empoleon would be okay when that move literally murders it, and it tracks that her Garchomp would know it because it's a fucking ground type. What I wasn't anticipating was that the Garchomp would have poison jab so it could ruin my Togekiss. Anyways, I tried this fight like 3 or 4 times. Obviously, I lost. I only won because of friendship mechanics. That's something I didn't touch on. If you've had your Pokemon in this game for like a while, they become your friend and will start dealing critical hits more often, and then they can survive blows that would have otherwise killed them with 1 HP left. So I only won this fight because my Togekiss survived with 1 HP at the very end, and then I was able to land, final Dazzling Gleam. So I was registered into the Hall of Fame, and it was the most underwhelming win I've ever had because I didn't earn it. I only won because of pure luck and just retrying over and over again. Like, even in games that I didn't love, like X and Y, I at least earned the win. Moving on. Number 9. That took way too long for what that was. This bullet point is just about the differences to Platinum. I've alluded to this, but the availability of Pokemon in this game is simply not good. They fixed these problems in a major way in Platinum, and I'm very used to Platinum, so I was taken aback by the availability, or lack thereof, of certain Mons, because in Platinum, you can get Gibble after beating the second gym, but what I didn't know is that in Diamond and Pearl, the entrance to the cave is blocked with boulders that you need strength to get through on the inside for literally no reason, so you have to wait until after Gym 6 to grab it. So that's why my Garchomp was underleveled, because I couldn't get it until it was too late. And then they changed like a bunch of the gift Pokemon, specifically Eevee and Togepi. So you can't get Eevee until post-game. Maybe you can get it in the underground. I haven't checked. You can look it up on Cerebi if you really want to know. But Togepi is originally a gift Pokemon that you get from Cynthia in Eterna City. But obviously they took out that interaction, and Togepi isn't available naturally in this game, and I really wanted a Togekiss so bad. So I had to grind in the underground for a really long time to find one. And knowing my luck, I never find the Pokemon that I want. It always takes me a really long time. Like Gibble has a really high chance of appearing where you look for it. And it took me at least 10 minutes to find one for no reason. Just the game hates me. It took me probably an hour to find this Togepi. I did find a statue for a secret base of a Togepi, and I did think that that was a real slap in the face. The game was like, we see you. We know you're failing. I did some math. I used my economics degree for the first time since graduating, and I made pie charts to show the type distribution and how bad it is in these games. You'll see in the one chart that flying and water type make up like basically a quarter of all the Pokemon that are available. There's also only 2 fully evolved fire types, only 2 fully evolved ice types. There's only 1 dragon type. Dragon type doesn't matter too much, but fire, ice, and electric as well. Those are really good types because they offer really good offensive coverage, and they're just not available. And I don't really understand why they would build a region where 3 of your type specialists for your Pokemon League rely on those types, but they can't use them because they simply don't have them. For Flint, it worked, but obviously for Volkner and Candace, it didn't, because they could have benefited from having the extra types that were excluded in this game. I also think it's confusing that the Pokedex in this game doesn't feature all of the Pokemon that they literally designed to be in this region. That's confusing. I don't know what would have gone into that decision unless they were fully like, we're going to release these 2, make our money, and then we're going to release the actual one, which is Platinum. We're going to do that later. Again, I think the Underground is a really good answer to that, but it's like they excluded over 20 Pokemon that were just made for it that featured a bunch of different types that are lacking, especially in this game, so they even out the chart a little bit more. My last gripe would be the exclusion of Looker, who is just an iconic character for the franchise. He's reappeared so many times after this generation. He's one of the only characters to appear in more than 1, or like I think in more than like 2 entries, like for real. He's the Shangela of Pokemon. He just keeps coming back. You can't get rid of him. So yeah, I think he was really impactful, and he added a personality to this game, which it needs. This game lacks a personality. It gives more stakes to what this evil team is doing because everyone else in the world seems to be unaware of it, but Looker knows, and he's trying actively to fight it. We miss everything that he adds because he brought a lot to the table. That brings me to my concluding thoughts. I actually didn't write anything down for this. All the pieces are there, but I think Platinum is stronger because it took the opportunity to build on things that were lacking in the first one. And I think what is disappointing about this release is that it is a remake and it's not a rebuild because they didn't add much on top of what was already there. Like, I think of Fire Red and Leaf Green, where it feels like they added quite a bit. They added a whole side story and a whole post game that wasn't there. And then, yeah, all I think of is like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, where they added the Delta episode. You know, they had some great inclusions there. So it's, you still get the experience of the original games and what they were, but they have all of the Emerald inclusions. And then you get this extra, like, pretty embellished story beat at the end. But this game doesn't offer that. It offers a really true to form retelling of what Diamond and Pearl were, flaws and all. And I just think they know the feedback. They have the answers to what could be improved on in this game, and then they opted to go in a different direction. That's not to say I don't like these games. I do really love them. I think I'm going to complete the Pokedex in Platinum. Platinum is the only thing that exists in my brain. I think I will complete the Pokedex in Diamond, just because I love this region and I do love the Pokemon that are in it. I think it's so successful what they aimed to do with Sinnoh and with the Pokedex. But yeah, I think this game falls flat. Like, Giratina is such a huge force and they fully remove it from the game. And like Arceus, I don't know when that's happening. They might choose to do some like free added DLC when Pokemon Legends Arceus comes out, which again, I'm really excited for that game. I'll make content on it for sure, probably on Twitch. So if you'd like to follow that journey, my Twitch is the same as my YouTube handle and I will link it in my bio. You can go follow me there. I would love to make affiliate soon. I would also love to make YouTube partners soon, but that's a journey. It'll happen on its own time. I respect what these games aimed to do, but I think they could have just taken it so much further, and they've proven in the past that they know how to do that and they know how to create like overall a really pleasing experience. But I think they just opted to be faithful to a fan favorite game when I think they really could have made this something really special. Hey guys, me again. I just filmed and I had a thought right now that I didn't have while I was writing, but maybe they wanted these games to underperform so that Pokemon Legends Arceus look better. Just a theory. I'm just putting it out there right now. Maybe they wanted these games to feel like just a little bit mediocre so that game really shines. I'm just trying to think why they wouldn't be more creative. You know, it fascinates me. And I think missed opportunity, and that upsets me because so much potential here. Anyways, goodbye.